The Sault Ste. Marie Region Conservation Authority and the city issued a water safety bulletin and statement with regards to current watershed conditions. The weather forecast for the next few days indicates a warming trend with a chance of up to 25 millimeters of rain from today until Friday. The snowpack measurements across the watershed are averaging a depth of 36.8 inches or 93.5 centimeters. The water equivalent, or the amount of water contained in the snowpack, is averaging 223 millimeters. This water content is not above the long-term average for this time of the year. The snow surveys and measurements are completed every 2 weeks by the Conservation Authority in areas not affected by snow compacting or plowing. Much of the anticipated precipitation will be absorbed into the existing snowpack, but some runoff will occur with the associated warm temperatures. Currently, local rivers, creeks, and streams are flowing at normal levels. Snowmelt from the warmer temperatures and runoff from the rainfall will cause levels and flows to rise across the watershed. Flooding in local water courses are not expected, though. The flood control channels are not currently flowing, but as the snowmelt begins, flows, of course, will result. When the water begins to flow, it may be occurring below the snow and may not be visible. So this presents a possible hazard to the public. The city's Public Works and Engineering Department has been working on addressing the winter weather experienced earlier this week, and they are managing drainage concerns as the week progresses. Snow continues to be removed from the main arteries and safety-sensitive areas in an effort to expose catch basins and traffic sightlines. Cutting back the roads is necessary and will be done on a priority basis. The city has over 8,800 catch basins, so urgent locations will be first. Residents and visitors are urged to stay away from the flood control channels and all waterways during the spring. Flows can be especially dangerous and stream banks can be slippery. Please keep children and pets away from waterways during this time, and this statement is in effect until March 16th. Opposition MPs plan to demand today that former Attorney General Jody Wilson-Raybould be allowed to return to the Justice Committee with no limitations on what she can say about the SNC-Lavalin affair. They also want the Liberals to agree to bring in several senior advisors and aides to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, all of whom Wilson-Raybould says were involved in a sustained effort to get her to halt a criminal prosecution of SNC-Lavalin on charges of bribery. The Director of Public Prosecutions opted last fall not to negotiate a remediation agreement with the Quebec-based engineering giant, which would have put off a criminal trial in exchange for the company admitting wrongdoing, paying fines, and allowing itself to be monitored for a period of time. Wilson-Raybould did not overrule that decision and says Trudeau and his staff pressured her to change her mind. If convicted at trial, the company would be barred from bidding on federal contracts. Trudeau has insisted any interactions his office had with Wilson-Raybould were an effort to try and prevent the innocent workers at the company from losing their jobs due to the criminal behavior of others. The committee meets this afternoon at the request of the Conservatives and NDP, who want to move motions to recall Wilson-Raybould, as well as to request the appearance of senior aides to Trudeau and Wilson-Raybould's former chief of staff. Wilson-Raybould appeared on February 27th for about 4 hours, but after Trudeau's former principal secretary, Gerald Butts, testified a week later, opposition MPs say they have new questions for the ex-justice minister. A small plane crashed into a suburban Cincinnati house yesterday afternoon, killing the pilot and sending dark smoke billowing from the backyard.
Our first unit arrived on scene at 24 hours and found the plane crashed in the backyard on fire. It had crashed into a house through a tree in the backyard. It is a twin-engine Piper piece of equipment, and we know that it had been working in the area for a while, but we're not exactly sure where it's really based, but they had been flying out of Lunken Airport. We do know that the aircraft was on its way back to Lunken Airport at the time of the crash, and we don't know a whole bunch of other things.
At Halifax Stanfield International Airport yesterday, passengers arriving on an Air Canada flight from London, which took off before the airspace ban in the United Kingdom, gave mixed reactions about flying on the Boeing 737 MAX 8 aircraft. Of course, Sunday's Ethiopian Airlines disaster was the second crash involving the jet in less than 5 months.
Getting to my gate and I saw the plane out there and I was like, oh, this is good. After just hearing the news, waking up my hotel in the morning stuff, so a little worried, but once you're up there, there's nothing you can do, so there's no point to dwell on it too much. And I didn't want to say anybody else because I didn't want people to panic.
I think it's a whole lot of hype. You know, I think there's hundreds of thousands of planes that go, only one or two that crash. I think get a grip, you can die, walking out there to get your car.
I'm waiting for my daughter Bryony, and the first time flying on her own, so I was on the phone to her before she departed this morning and trying to sort of, you nail this, you got this, you'll be fine, free movies away and you'll be good. And then I was checking, I wonder if it's a Boeing 737, and I'm glad I didn't search further because I would have been more nervous, because now when I got here, you guys are here and I'm like, oh really? Now they're suspending all the flights? And it's so sad for the people that, that lost their lives and the families. You're thinking of them, and then you hear about those 18 Canadians and how sad, 2 from Dal too, and she went to Dal, and it's like, oh my goodness, this would have been awful if she'd have known. So, I'm so relieved they're here safe. She's waiting to come through customs now, and I just want to give her the biggest hug. You can't say the wrong place at the wrong time. They were in the right place at the right time. Everyone's got a freedom to travel. And we're so lucky, right? But thank goodness. But I think I was a bit perturbed that Air Canada hadn't suspended flights when Australia is not even letting any flights in or out. So why hadn't Air Canada?